So I want to say a couple of words about Edie Windsor. I haven't been on YouTube in a really long time, and I've been feeling kind of bad about it, but I felt like today was a really important opportunity to jump back in and say a couple of things. As you know, Edie Windsor died today. She was 88 years old, and she was the person whose lawsuit against the United States brought down the Defense of Marriage Act, which therefore paved the way for federal recognition of marriage equality in the United States. So to say that she was a pioneer and a change maker and all of that is really an understatement. Her fight for her marriage to her late wife to be recognized really changed the way that millions of us will be able to build our relationships and our families and our lives in the future. And I think anytime somebody who's an important historical or cultural figure or a role model or a possibility model dies, you feel that heaviness in your heart. You know, maybe she wasn't your grandma, but she felt like it or something like that. But I think it's especially grave in a time right now where the last year, year and change, but especially, since Trump became the president, we are all really hurting in ways that maybe collectively we haven't in a long time, and we're seeing our communities, and I mean that, in the broadest way possible, not just from an LGBT rights perspective, but those of us who are Muslim or people of color, or undocumented, etc. We're seeing these communities attacked in whole, not new ways, but just ways that we didn't think would be possible in 2017, but of course they are. All that to say, we could really use a superhero right now. And it's really sad that one of them is gone, but we can still reflect on what an incredible and important life she lived, and the amazing legacy that she leaves behind, not just one of these, incredible political change, obviously, that she was able to bring about, but just a life of kindness and love and, excuse me, and this cheerfulness that she radiated everywhere. So I haven't talked about this a lot because I've been on YouTube a lot in a while, but I'm actually engaged. I got engaged last year and I'm getting married in May. And so I've made a couple of videos with my now fiance, who was then my girlfriend, Caitlin, and we were long distance for a while, and then right after she moved to New York to be with me, we went to Dyke March, which is like the queer women's component of like the Pride weekend that happens every year. So we went to Dyke March, and at the end of it, we saw Edie Windsor walking around. This is a few years back, and she had a bunch of people around her, so we didn't stop her or anything, but we said, oh my god, look, it's Edie Windsor, it's her. And then a couple of years later, she proposed to me first, and then the day after that, I actually had a ring already, so we went back to Washington Square Park, which is where Dyke March had been. And I started off my very dorky speech. I was like, oh, remember when we went to Dyke March here? And remember when we saw Edie Windsor here? And remember this and remember that? And remember when I proposed to you here? Because I'm a total loser. But I did anyway, and she said yes, so we're gonna get married. But actually, a couple days after that, after we got engaged, I met Edie at an event that was happening for my work. I was still working at Glisten then, and she came to our gala. So I was able to talk to Edie for a couple of minutes, and I told her our engagement story because I was still so new and excited, and I thanked her for everything she had done to make it possible. And she kissed my hand, and she said that she wished us the most beautiful life of love, and just was the sweetest person in the world. So I took a picture with her, and then I cried a bunch, and it was a whole big thing. And I know, I have a lot of friends who work in this movement or who have been to events and met her, and everyone had a similar story of just how loving she was, and how yes, she's a famous person, but she still would take the time to say hello and listen to you and tell you, how beautiful you were, and connect with you on a really human level. So another thing, I lost my grandmother earlier this year, which is part of the reason I haven't been around. It's been sort of a rough year. And I don't believe really in heaven. I don't believe in God. I don't think that, I don't know. It's not really a part of me. And yet I can't get out of my head the the vision of like my grandmother sitting next to Edie Windsor in like old lady Jewish heaven, just drinking lemonade and talking about, oh, can you believe that this is the way that things are now? Because I remember talking to my grandma about when Doma fell and about who Edie Windsor was, because I made a video about this too. My grandmother had a really hard time when I first came out to her because she thought I would never get married. And Edie Windsor is one of the reasons that I am able to get married and that I will be getting married. So my grandma didn't get a chance to see me get married, but she met my fiance. She loved her like her own granddaughter, and she came around because society came around, and because mostly came around, and because there were these big sweeping changes that allowed us to sort of bring people into that fold and say like, this is okay, like this is who we are, and we're gonna love each other, and we're gonna live our lives here, and it's all gonna work out. Edie helped make that possible. Edie, maybe saved my relationship with my grandmother in a way. I've never thought of that before, but yeah, so maybe, who knows, maybe Edie and Esther are somewhere drinking Mai Tais. I don't know. All of that is to say that we lost a really incredible woman today, really, truly a superhero. I'm gonna miss her a lot, even though I didn't, really know her, just like everybody else did, and everybody else will. And I want to end on a tweet, because, that's what we do. So Chase Strangio from the ACLU tweeted something really beautiful about Edie today. I think it's important when we talk about icons in the LGBTQ movement that we don't equate marriage equality with equality or with justice or with liberation, because while it is a really big, important thing to a lot of us, it does not mean equality for all has been achieved, as we know, because it has not. But I think Chase put it into really beautiful words, so I'm gonna pull the tweet up because I don't want to get it wrong and botch somebody else's words. So Chase wrote, "Was a marriage fight foregrounding wealthy white people the key to my liberation? Hell no. Did Edie teach me to transform with love? Hell yes." So thank you, Edie, for teaching us to transform with love. Thank you for everything that you did. We will miss you so much. We love you so much. And thank you for watching, for sticking around, and for still being around, even though I haven't been super attentive to this channel. There's been a lot going on, but I promise I will check in when it matters, and right now I think it really does. So this one's for you, Edie. Bye.